Hello, welcome to the K4
Hi.
podcast. I am your host, Kathy L. Moore. The K4 podcast mission is to inspire women to fulfill their God given purpose by seeking a Christ in their life through kingdom proof living. Listen and enjoy the journey to kingdom proof living. So, today our topic is I am an overcomer, and so are you, with our special guest, Miss Courtney Green. Welcome, Courtney.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, Courtney, I am so glad to have you today. So, please share with our listeners a little bit about yourself.
My name is Courtney Green. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. Is 9 years old. Her name is Chloe. I'm a recent college graduate. I'm going on for my master's degree in logistics and global supply chain management. I'm a current employee at Polaris Incorporated, where I work as a material scheduler by day. In my free time, I sell amazing jewelry and inspire women and men with my God given gifts. And also encourage women and men through writing. I help write bios, and I also do curriculum vitaes and resumes. I want to see other people win. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, that is so wonderful. Yes, I have an opportunity to follow you on Facebook and see your posts, and you're very encouraging. A very, you really inspire, and I could tell that you're making an impact. So again, welcome to the K4 podcast. So Courtney, one of the things that I've noticed about your posts, which are, like I said, very inspiring and very encouraging, is that you talk a lot about being an overcomer. So, can you share your personal testimony of some things that you've overcome?
Um, so it's been a variety of different things that I've overcome over my short lifespan. I'm only 31 years old. I've got to experience and grow through mental health issues within my family, struggling with anxiety for myself, health issues. I'm a lupus warrior. 4.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with systemic and discoid lupus. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I'm I guess you could say a single mother. So, and I'm winning at all those things. So I'm very thankful for that.
That is just so powerful. Do you feel like sharing with our listeners? So you have so many different components that you can impact and inspire. Is it any of those that you would like to go more into detail? Because there's someone that's listening that's going through what you're going through, and they
Yes.
don't know, how can I get out of this? How can I come overcome this? Can you share with our listeners two of the things that you talked about that you would want to go more into detail to talk about how you overcame it?
Let's start off with domestic violence. Okay, so I started a long relationship with my child's father, starting from 16 to 25. It was a very interesting relationship. As we began to grow, we start to know more about each other and know more about each ourselves. We had our own home, vehicles, jobs, and other employment types of employments. And I was going through school at that time. I was encouraged to go to school and do my best at all that I've done. But things, didn't go as planned, I guess you would say. We always think we have a plan, and that's not always what God has for us. I was always a vibrant young person, outgoing, and slowly that became was ate away. I was encouraged not to hang out with my friends because they were bad influences on me. However, the main influence was that person that was in my life. He was slowly taking me away from family and friends and filling my head up with ideas that I allowed to be soaked up into me and ingrained. And yes, I knew that some of it was true, but it was like a half truth. And that kind of, just kept me in a bubble almost. Slowly but surely, I started to see myself as a different person because I couldn't recognize myself, not just because of who I was becoming and growing to be. It was because of what I was taking myself away from, like the church. I grew up in the church. I was a praise dancer. church, involved in the choir, involved in the community, the after school programs, Bible convention, you name it, I was a part of it. And I that was became obsolete. And so after multiple episodes of violence and going to court cases and even jail at one time because I didn't want to testify against him, I decided to pack up and leave. I called my aunt and she came and got me and my daughter. Within 24 hours, we were in Mississippi and then in Alabama. It was Christmas Eve. And so it was a spare of the moment thing, but I knew when I called my family that they would be there. They would always be there. They've always have been there. They just had to let me grow and see things for myself and experience those things for myself, which was a hard lesson, a very hard lesson. But I'm here to say that I'm thankful that I did it. I'm thankful that I have my daughter and I chose better for her, for us. And I think we're going to continue to prosper from it. So that's one way I've overcame. So
That again, like I said, that is just so powerful. And someone, Courtney, that is listening today, they're in your same situation.
mhm,
What would you tell them to do when it
do it.
comes to? Mhm.
Just do it scared. It's going to be the scariest. It was the biggest leap that I've ever taken to leave all my personal belongings, all those material things, to not have even photo ID or anything of those matters, to just pack up my kids' Christmas
Mhm.
and the back of a car and to just trust. It only takes that size of a mustard seed to trust. And we are doing well, doing well for
Mm.
ourselves.
Yes, that is so
Years later.
wonderful. So, Courtney, you had family that you could call. Have you, because you seem to be an advocate for domestic violence, from your post and, your other things that you're doing in the community. Have you talked to anyone that did not have family? Like, they didn't have that family to call them to help them escape. What do you share with these women who are in this situation? Like, my family, they turned their backs on me. I don't have anybody. I don't have the church to go to. What do I do? What wisdom, what advice can you give to the women that may be listening, that I don't have anybody. This is all I have. Listen to other stories, but what do I do? How can I really overcome this? Get out of this?
There's always that mindset that you have to have, that you want to get away, that there will be better. Having that mindset first, I think, is going to help you navigate your way through it and find those resources, because there are resources out there. There are homes, like halfway homes kind of settings. There are DVAC programs in Kansas. They had domestic violence programs where they provide homes, they provide shelter, and different material things for children and women. Now, these are mainly for women, but there are also ones for men too. So never feel like that there's nowhere to go. Sometimes you have to dig and do your research, but there's always hope out there.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So, as you share with us about your journey through domestic violence, what wisdom would you like to share with our audience that you learned from this whole experience? Like, did you suffer shame or guilt? Did you blame yourself? What wisdom can you share with us and our listeners?
I definitely blame myself. I had to forgive myself. That was a big journey. I was angry for a time because I knew better. I was raised in my parents were married for 25 plus years before their divorce. I was raised by families, a strong, God fearing family. So I knew what I was doing was wrong. It was like the idea, why was I continuing it for so long? For a whole decade of my life, my whole, childhood and almost most of my 20s, I was living a life that I knew that wasn't pleasing to God, that wasn't pleasing to my parents, that wasn't fulfilling the gratification of myself. So I just want to tell people that, you can do better. You deserve better. You are worth it. and pour those affirmations into yourself. Do a lot of self-talk because you are worth it in every aspect. And when I began to forgive myself, I began to be able to find my own personal identity and recreate that in my what who I am today, and be able to let those things about those gifts that God's given me shine. So
Yeah, so you were able to forgive yourself. You gained your self-worth back, your self-esteem back. And
mhm.
one thing that we want people to know is that it is not your fault that somebody chooses to be violent towards you. And
Yes.
I think so many times people want to be like, oh, it's so easy, but you are a survivor, and you know that if somebody can get your mind, hey, you know, even those, of us that believe in God, those that have a relationship, but thank God that you made it out, that you was like, hey, I want better for myself and for my daughter. So those of you that are listening today from Courtney's story, her testimony that she made it out, you can too, but you
Mhm.
have to reach out to those resources you have. So Courtney, let's talk about your jewelry business. So you're impacting and inspiring others to be
Yes.
entrepreneurs, and talk about that. Tell our listeners about your jewelry business.
Okay, so 3 years ago, a friend of mine, she's like a sister of mine. She called me. She's like, "Hey, I'm trying to rank up in this jewelry business. You seen it all. I want you to help me rank up." She's like, "We're going ready to go get married in Jamaica," and I'm like, "You know what? I got you. No questions asked. Tell me what to do. Send me the link. Let's sign up. This is your wedding present." My friend, she made became executive director in the business, so she became like an elite in the paparazzi world from all her hard works and efforts, and I was proud to see her grow. And in the midst of that, had no intentions of selling jewelry. I was okay doing what I was doing. I was working as an operator at that time, building side by sides. Later, she added me to these groups, and I'm seeing these women making 500 to 1,000 to 10,000 to even becoming millionaires from $5 jewelry. That intrigued me because I've always been had a business mindset, um, and knew how to, talk with people, to become level with people on. I love wearing jewelry. I always love wearing my costume jewelry. So, especially if it's $5, honey, that sounds right up my alley. We can sell that. So, for the last 3 years, that's what I've been doing in my free time. I couldn't work a second job. COVID was going on. My main job was shut down at times, and especially during our winter breaks, we're off for 2 weeks, and I'm stressing and worried about bills. Well, hey, I can click that live button and show some jewelry, and it sells. It definitely sells. So that also being able to gave me a chance to speak out about my lupus, speak out about different things I've gone through and overcame, and it helped me become more aware of the different changes it's had on me. With lupus, I lost all my hair. I completely had to shave all my hair off because it was just falling out. I've had skin deformities. I've had weight and loss and gain. So it was hard to look at myself in the mirror amidst all those changes. And going live, it's like, hey, I see me. I see me for myself, and I love me. So not only battling domestic violence and getting that self-worth, I hit another low when lupus hit me. To see those changes and be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, is that really me? And yes, that is me. And when I look and I love what I see, that was a blessing for me. So, and I want to encourage people to know that you can look at yourself and love what you see. Look at yourself and love what you do, and do it well, because you honor and you respect yourself. So
That is so beautiful how you talked about how you hit two lows, which was more than two, but we discussed two lows, but
yeah.
you still were able to look in the mirror and love you. And we know that that's not an easy journey. Like, that didn't happen overnight for you, right?
No, it didn't. No, not at all.
So what were some of the steps that you took to be like, you know what? I have this illness, but I'm still going to fulfill my purpose. So what was like your epiphany? Like, I'm still gonna go live, you know, if I don't want to put on any makeup, if I don't want to put on, if you had to wear, a wig or a weave, I'm showing me, I'm taking off this mask. What was the epiphany that you decided, or that moment that you was be like, you know what, I can do this. I don't care what anybody thinks, what anybody may say, because I know that I'm fulfilling my God-given purpose.
It was my village, I would definitely say, that helped. My daughter, she was very small at that age. She was maybe about 5 to 6. But her affirmations and her pouring into me, Mom, you look so beautiful. Mom, you look just like you. Mom, why don't you wear your real hair? I love you, Mom. And that gave me that fuel to keep going. That was the inertia, the fire, the tinder to keep it all going, because I knew I couldn't just stop. I couldn't just give up, because I knew she was watching. To see my parents, to see them time, um, I wanted to keep going for them. I didn't want them to have to bury a child. And that was something that I've experienced. And so I knew I couldn't give up. I knew that pain that I had went through, and I didn't want to see them go through that. By just giving up, sometimes you hurt more than just yourself. You hurt the people around you. So I knew I had to keep going. I had to keep smiling. Um, Even when it hurts, it still hurts today, but I know that things aren't as bad as they have been, or bad as they could be. I've listened to other people in their lupus journey, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for where I'm at, because it is all is well. I claim it every day. It is well. So, um, I went from having shaving all my hair off and wearing wigs all the time to I still have bald patches. There's some spots that hair may or may not grow back, but that's okay, because I am well. I am whole, and I'm grateful to be able to say that, and to let people know that that's okay. This is who I am. I still get weird looks. When I was wearing my scarves, people, or my baseball caps, people would say that's not work appropriate, and I'd be like, well, I have a disability. I have a reason to wear it. Do we need to take it there? And but it's like, I don't want to give out that type of negative energy, but it's like people will question you, people will push you, people will doubt you, and you just have to walk boldly in who you are and stand tall, because God's got your back no matter what. You don't have to worry about fighting any battles. You don't have to worry about being nasty and negative with people, because you're going to shine, honey, every time.
Yeah, that beautifully said. And, you know, that's just beautiful. And one thing that I like it all, but how your daughter was speaking affirmations into you, and
Yes.
that just shows us the power of words. But your daughter is what, about 9? Is she
She's
that
9
old?
now. Yes.
9. And for her to be able at that age to speak those affirmations to keep you going, and then it's just powerful. And again, like I said, that just shows us the power of our words, the power of our tongues. And one thing you said that I could have gave up, but I didn't. I spoke it into me, and that's what speaking God's word back to us, speaking those things back to us, and not being concerned about what people may say or people may think. So that is just awesome. So, do you have any upcoming events that you would like to share with our audience?
I do have a few upcoming events. I'll be in Birmingham in April 22nd. There'll be a pop-up shop. I love doing pop-up shops, because you get to meet new different businesses, go different locations, places outside of your norm. I haven't been to Birmingham much, but I'm excited to, especially in the daytime, baby. We're gonna see what it's all talking about. There's gonna be all types of vendors there, between jewelry, food, treats, and art. I'm a big fan of art and music, so that's one. And on April 1st, a large like major pop-up shop. It's going to be the third annual Women's Expo in Huntsville. It'll be at the Von Braun Center. It is hosted by Tiffany Draper, owner of Studio 53. Last year, I was a volunteer at the event, and now I get to be a part of it. So I'm very excited about that. Over 100 plus vendors will be there in the South Hall of the Von Braun Center.
That's wonderful. Do you feel that your business is more than just a business? Does sometimes it seem like it's a ministry because you're doing your pop-up shops and going to different expos? How have you met other people that just through conversations you start sharing your testimony, you start sharing your story? Has that ever happened?
Oh, yes, countless times. And the people I've met, it's come all full circle. Um, so there's a beautiful lady I met at the expo last year. She's a professor and she's a writer. She wrote a beautiful story. Her sons were going to Jackson State at the time, and she was explaining how I was talking to her. I was worried about my child's education, being raised in Kansas versus being, raising my child in the South. I worried of the difference in the education levels because they were grading on based on the average student. She's doing well. Well, I don't need to be her basing her on everyone else. I need to know where her testing level is.
Right.
And so we were talking about that, and she gave me her book, and I was intrigued by it. I love reading, so just having those mutual connections and small connections, it's amazing. And how I told her, like, those things are so important to me, her education and just her overall well-being, help mentally, and knowing who she is as a biracial child, like, those type of things. So that's very important.
Yeah, that is so good. Let's tell our listeners how they can connect with you on your different social media platforms.
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook. My name is Courtney Green. You can follow me on Instagram at clearly C777. You start there, and I'll be able to show you the different ways you can follow me. I have Facebook groups, and I have a Facebook page at This Is It. And you can also go to my website, www.thisisitbycg.com.
Well, we want to thank Courtney for being our guest today, just sharing her wisdom, her journey to fulfilling her purpose. She's dealt with some very traumatic experiences and still, dealing with it. But man, if you follow her on Facebook, you're going to see that she's a very positive young woman. She's very inspiring. She's very, encouraging. So go ahead and follow her. So,
Yeah.
Courtney, before we close out, what takeaways would you like to leave with our listeners today?
I want you guys to know that God is always there with you in the midst of your darkest hour. Always know that you can lean on to Him and to allow Him to guide you. Get down in posture with Him and be humble to yourself and be grateful for wherever state that you are, because it will come back tenfold. Anything that you have lost, have that faith in Him and stay encouraged.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Courtney. So we want to thank you for listening to us on today. And we pray that you have been impacted and inspired by Courtney's personal testimony. I am an overcomer, and so are you. Very powerful. So please share the K4 podcast on your social media. You can follow the K4 podcast or listen to it on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Pods. Also, you can follow my Facebook page, K4 Podcast page on Facebook, Kingdom Proof Living. Also, a website will be coming soon. So I'm thankful to God for that, the K4podcast.com, and also on Instagram at the K4 Podcast and YouTube. So we want to thank you for listening today and listening next month. Thank you.